Time to light it up.
You gotta be kidding me.
Okay, Vince, here we go. We are starting something that's going to be continuing throughout probably 4 or 5 weeks, and we are starting it with this one. We were actually going to end it with this one, but this thing is so unbelievably outstanding, incredible, amazing, mind-blowing, we decided to start it with this one instead of ending it with this one. What am I talking about?
Strike first, strike hard, no mercy, sir. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy, sir.
COBRA KAI.
Johnny, you and I, we aren't done.
Exactly.
So for the longest time, I heard this thing was coming on YouTube. And it's on YouTube Red, which is terrible, to tell you the truth, is because I don't think that many people, first of all, have YouTube Red. I have it. And it's sort of a subscription service, I guess, as well, which I didn't even know there was original movies on it until I heard about this.
I totally knew about YouTube Red and what it was doing because they announced it several months ago, and since they announced it, and I kind of talked about this in an earlier review, that going to the movie theaters, they would have these featurettes before you actually see the movie. And in those featurettes, a lot of them were advertising for YouTube Red, sort of like Netflix. It's a streaming service.
It's probably way down on the list of streaming services most people have. It's probably Netflix, and then I know Amazon's probably a big one, and Hulu, and all that stuff. I mean, they got a lot of big streaming services. I think YouTube Red is probably way down on the list somewhere.
Out of the two of us, you watch a lot more streaming stuff than I do. I really don't care for stuff like this. I really don't care for streaming services. I'm not crazy about it. I mean, I have Netflix and I watch Netflix, but that's about it. Hulu, I could care less about. Amazon is just crap. And there's never anything worthy of watching on a lot of them.
Amazon is not crap, to tell you the truth. They had 2 seasons of The Tick on there, and they were outstanding, and they just signed a deal for The Hobbit, and I think they spent like $1 billion to bring a brand new Lord of the Rings series to Amazon. So it's going to blow up here soon.
They had Zombieland. They did a Zombieland TV show on Amazon, and it was terrible. It was crap.
Now, as in the rest of the shows here on YouTube Red, is there anything else on there worth even watching?
There's been nothing.
And that's why I said this was, I don't think, a great choice to put on here. I would have much rather seen this on Netflix.
Exactly.
I'd much rather seen this even on Amazon or Hulu or whatever other streaming services. Because when I heard about this thing, first of all right, I'm going to go back. We have already reviewed almost all the Karate Kid films. So I went back and watched all 4 of them before I watched this one. So this is kind of like me going back in time to talk about this after already watching the other ones.
I was going to say, you got to understand with David, he doesn't watch television that much. So, like I said, he watches streaming services more than regular television. But for the rest of the world who watches television, the Karate Kid's on all the time. So I've seen the Karate Kid films over and over and over, at least 500 times each.
Well, up until I went back to watch all 4 of them, I probably haven't seen them in 20-something years. So I'm really, really glad I did that. I mean, you don't have to do it in order to enjoy this as much as you do, but I would recommend that you go back and watch the 4 of them. So when you get back to this, there's references here and there that you're like, oh, okay, that was from this movie, and that was from that movie, and this is from that movie, and it made it for me a little bit more enjoyable. But you don't have to. But literally, we just got done with the 4th one, and then we put this on like 10 minutes later, and the first thing my wife is like, if this is about Johnny, I am going to love this movie. I'm going to love this show. I think that is the greatest possible idea that it could ever possibly do. And it was. This is something that I never knew I wanted. And it's something I've always needed, Vince. And I'm so glad they did this.
Well, I'm going to back it up just a little bit here, too, is because I also remember reading or hearing something about this, and they kind of announced that Ralph Macchio and William Zabka were getting together, who played Johnny in Karate Kid, if you don't know who that William Zabka is. They were both getting together to make this thing. And I was like, wow, that could be really cool. If they do it right, it'll be really cool. Just a few weeks before this premiered, they finally showed the trailer for Cobra Kai, and it just blew me away. I was like, oh my God, I need to see this. I need to see this. And then, of course, it pops up and it says YouTube Red. So I don't actually have a YouTube Red subscription, so I kind of had to borrow David's. So I got to watch the first episode, and I have to say, I could not stop watching it. I mean, for the first time in a long time, I sat there and went, oh my God, I've got to see the next episode. I've got to see in each one. At the end of it, I was like, oh my God, I got to see the next one. I can't leave. It was like a book I couldn't put down.
So, again, YouTube Red, I didn't know what the sort of the quality of this was going to be. I've never watched a YouTube Red show before. And for some reason, I thought it was going to be sort of cheesy, that, the acting wasn't going to be very good, that it was just going to be badly filmed, that the sets were going to be, I don't know, I thought it would be sort of like a YouTube user's video where it wouldn't be this quality. But as soon as it started, this is a quality show. They do have, regular sets, they do have regular actors, and just from the first 10 minutes of this show, I was in it. I was 100% in it. I knew exactly what they were doing, where they were going with this, and I was like, my God, that is the smartest, most amazing idea they could have ever come up with to continue the Karate Kid with.
I totally agree with that. All of it, even the YouTube stuff, I totally agree with. I thought, being on YouTube, that I didn't think it was going to be like a fan film or anything like that. I just thought it was going to be, I thought it was going to be like TV show quality stuff, where it's not quite as good as seeing it in the movie, but it's the Karate Kid. No, it's nothing like that. As a matter of fact, the whole thing is like watching an actual Karate Kid movie. That's exactly what it's like. It's complete high-end movie production quality, and it's fantastic.
And that brings me to this thing is, could they have made this into a movie? And I'm going to say, no, they could not have made it into a movie, because if it was a movie, it would have been, 5 hours long? 6 hours long? So breaking them up into half-an-hour episodes and having 10 episodes, you get to know these characters. You get to develop the story more, and you get to know, and feel for everything that's going on. And there's no way they could have made this like the Karate Kid 5 or something, because it had to be done this way. It had to have.
Well, I think they could have done it that way. They could have made it a movie, but at the same time, because that's the way it looks. Like I said, it looks like a movie. It doesn't look like a TV show. It looks like a movie. And they could have done it that way as a movie, but I think it's better that they did it like this.
Yeah, I love this. And again, I didn't watch it all together like you did. I actually watched it throughout a week. I'd watch 2 episodes here, 1 episode here, another 2 episodes, because I wanted it to not end. And that's how much I enjoyed watching this. I couldn't wait to get home to find out what happened to these characters. I couldn't wait to find out. The whole time I'm at work, I'm like, man, I can't wait. I cannot wait to get home and watch Cobra Kai. I can't wait to find out what's happening. The whole time I was watching this, I was like that. And again, it's rare. I mean, Stranger Things was like that when I saw that. But this is even on another level. I mean, it is. It's these characters you grew up with that that, or at least you thought you knew, and they kind of flip it on his head here, and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't the character that I used to really enjoy, and you kind of see yourself as the other character. Because I can absolutely tell you, Vince, Johnny is us. Johnny became us. I mean, we are Johnny in this movie.
And there's a lot of things that he says in this series that it's like, holy crap, that's exactly what I would think of now, you know, the way things are now. Because for Johnny, he's kind of trapped in the Karate Kid.
He still loves the 80s stuff. He's old. He's broken down. You know, he's poor. He's broke. I'm saying that he's us. He became us.
So, I mean, it's so cool to take it from a different point of view and a different perspective. And hello, everyone out there rebooting films and remaking films. You want to do something like that. You really want to bring back characters from the 80s and make a really good 80s remake of any kind or reboot of any kind. Take notes, because this is the way you do it. Everything is respectful to the original story. Everything, it coincides with, and it didn't forget, like David said, the other 4 films. There's references to the other 4 films, even to the remake in this at one point, and all of it makes sense. It's not like, well, why would you don't sit there and think that, because it all makes sense with what happened, especially in the first film.
And it goes to show you what one thing in your life growing up can change everything. And that's kind of what this was about. The one moment in the end of the first Karate Kid changed Johnny's life forever. And that was the one single moment that changed his life. It also changed Daniel's life and made Daniel's life so much better, and then Johnny's life not so great. But then at the same time, you can see from Johnny's perspective what was going on in his world during the first Karate Kid. Because the first Karate Kid, you just think he's an evil guy. He's a terrible punk. He's just a horrible person.
He's a bully.
Yeah, but he's not so much that, because if you go back and watch the Karate Kid, you see he has all these points he makes, and they're all true. Everything he says is true. If you watch the first Karate Kid, Daniel hit him first.
Absolutely.
Wrong.
True.
Daniel hit him first. He punched him, right in the face, and he was defending himself.
Absolutely.
Wrong.
True.
So he actually made the first move and punched Johnny first.
Absolutely.
Wrong.
True.
Yeah, you can also look at it that way, but I see it from both sides. This time around with Cobra Kai, it kind of flips it around and shows you the other side, and that's what I do enjoy about it. Yes, it does show it from Johnny's perspective and what he thought and how he thought, and yeah, it does make you feel a little more sympathetic to Johnny.
And the one thing about this too is in the first couple episodes, they barely mentioned Mr. Miyagi in this, and I'm wondering, are they not going to say much about him, or are they not going to do an episode about him? And I was kind of waiting for it. I figured they'd probably do an entire episode sort of dedicated to Mr. Miyagi, and they did. And it's kind of it devastated me after watching all 4 movies and then seeing this episode all about him, and oh my god, it killed me. It killed me watching that.
Yeah, it's so touching and so dramatic, and they did it with complete respect, not only to the character of Mr. Miyagi, but to the actor Pat Morita. They did a complete respectful episode, even though actually all the way through the series everything goes back to what Miyagi's teaching Daniel, and it actually is a little bit like Karate Kid 3 in some ways, because Daniel is kind of lost again. It's like he's not really with Miyagi because Miyagi's not there. It's like he's not really focused on Miyagi anymore. He's focused in his life, and so he's kind of gotten away from some of those things that Miyagi taught him not only about karate but about life.
Yeah, and they actually, again, try not to give too many spoilers away here, but they went back to some of the original areas in the first movie too. And when they went back there, I'm like, oh my God, that is so freaking awesome. Again, you know, I was getting a little bit emotional because it's like I had just got done watching all the films and fell in love with all those movies again, and now seeing it again all these years later and seeing these places still existed, and he's taking them and showing you these parts in this movie that you love so much. It was just incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's even things that you see in the original film that you see in here. There's even objects. There's even things in this series that you'll go, wow, that was in the first film, or wow, that was in the third film, or whatever. You'll see this stuff, and actually, Ralph Macchio actually owned some of these things. He always had them. He kept them from the first film.
Now, out of all the blockbusters I've seen so far this year, and all the big movies and everything that I've seen, this is one of my favorite things I have watched all year. It's that good. It is beyond anything, like I said, that I thought I ever wanted. I never thought I wanted another Karate Kid. I could care less about it. I was like, whatever, you know, I don't really need another one. Until I saw this, and I was like, man, how much, I had no idea how much I really needed this. And it's the bomb!
Yeah, I would totally agree with all of that. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily said, well, I wouldn't want to see another Karate Kid. I think the whole thing of it is, it's such a great story. It's such a great, solid story that this is the way to continue it. That's really the way to continue on with the Karate Kid story. And it's fantastic, and I agree. It is the bomb!
Now, if you don't have YouTube Red, subscribe to it for this. This is worth subscribing to it for. And I'm not even joking. I'm not telling you, you know, you need to waste your money on it or anything. It's worth it. And if this is the only thing you watch and then cancel your subscription until the second one comes up, because it's been approved, you know, for a second season, because there's a huge hit on there, then, you know, you've not wasted your money. I don't know how much the thing costs a month. Get it for a month, watch this, and then cancel it if you don't want it. It's unbelievably good. Unbelievably good.
Interesting and so entertaining, and just, it's everything that the first film was. And it actually has every bit of heart that the first one does. You feel for these characters, and it's something that we haven't seen in so long. And I guess that's why. I mean, like I said, if you want to reinvent these characters, if you want to bring back original characters, and this is what they should have done with Ghostbusters. Damn it! That's exactly what I've been wanting to say that for so long.
I could totally see them doing something like this with Ghostbusters on Netflix or Amazon or even YouTube Red if it's as good as this.
I mean, it was smart. It made sense. I loved it. I mean, I loved every... And I have to say, there was one episode in here that I absolutely loved even more than some of the other ones. And it wasn't just the Miyagi one. The Miyagi one was great, but there's an episode in here where it's just Daniel and Johnny, and they finally get alone together. And you see them together, and they're actually talking to each other. And for once... And it's just amazing.
I can tell you about that episode. That's one of my favorite episodes too. Is I'm sitting there thinking to myself, and I'm not even joking, I'm not lying about it. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, and I was like, I bet it's going to be like Rocky 3, where they hit each other and they're not going to find out who wins. And they say that on the screen. They're like, yeah, we're going to hit like Rocky 3, huh? And I just died. I was like, oh my God, they were reading my mind. That's exactly what I was thinking.
That's the other thing about this, is there is this underlining dark humor to the whole thing too, and that's really cool. It's really, really cool, especially with Johnny. Man, he was like I mean, there's so much stuff that he says that you just sit there and laugh out loud because it's true.
What a bunch of pussies.
When I'm done with you, you're gonna be sending a message back. Only it's not gonna be with your keyboard. It's gonna be with your fists.
Yeah, he's definitely what one would nowadays call politically incorrect through this entire thing. He basically says what he thinks because in his mind, he's still living in the 80s. He still thinks he can talk like somebody does in the 80s and talk to people like that. Of course, people get offended that way now, but he doesn't care. And again, that's what I loved about his character, too.
I love when he calls them pansy asses.
When I look around this dojo, I don't see Cobra Kai material. I see losers, I see nerds.
That makes me feel like a virgin just looking at you.
I heard you beat up a bunch of teenagers.
I didn't beat up any teenagers. I kicked the crap out of a bunch of assholes who deserved it.
I'm gonna teach you the style of karate that was taught to me. A method of fighting your pansy-ass generation desperately needs.
So I'm looking forward to season 2. I cannot wait for season 2. And I really hope that they start bringing in some of the other characters from either the other movies or at least the first film. I would love to see some of these other characters from the first film start to come into this.
The ones that did show up in this, I was sitting there like, oh my God, I can't believe they got this person to come back in. And one of them, again, this is a minor spoiler, was his mom shows up. And I'm like, oh my God.
It was really cool to see her and what she looks like now.
Yeah, and all these people aged really well. I mean, they do. They look great. Everybody in this movie looks fantastic.
I cannot wait. But we do. We have to wait like a whole year. It's going to be like a whole year before they show. It's going to be like Stranger Things.
So if you haven't watched this, make sure you watch it. Let us know what you think. See if you guys liked it as much as we did. We are the Box Office Maniacs, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can become one of the Maniacs on here, because we love all of our Maniacs, and we love hearing from you. So if you would, leave comments in the comment section below. So show no mercy, except, when you have to.
No mercy. Sweep the leg.